Hey there, guys. So E3 is, well, it's still on the go, but most of the main conferences have all taken place now. I thought I would do a kind of a podcast thing, and I'm recording this just as a vocal podcast type thing, and I will find some cool footage and stuff to put behind it that you can watch while you're listening to me ramble on about what's excited me the most about the conference. And I think this has been an absolutely brilliant E3 all around. It hasn't produced any major whoa, we didn't expect that title kind of moments, because we kind of heard about everything before E3 kicked in. You know, the Fallout 4 was already announced, Gears 4 we knew about, Tomb Raider we knew about, Uncharted 4 we knew about. There were so many things. We just kind of, I think it's almost like they want to tell us about them before E3 so that we'll really watch them at E3. You know, Bethesda hadn't done an E3 for ages. Everybody kind of knew that Fallout 4 was coming and they were going to announce it, and then they announced it before. So I'm not quite sure why they did that. I can only assume it's because they felt that they might get more of an audience if they announced it beforehand and then increased the hype and promised more footage and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, all round a great E3 in my opinion, missing that slight edge of brand new IPs that we didn't know about, but there were a few snuck in there, but nothing massive. So starting with Bethesda then, as I've mentioned them already, Fallout 4 looks incredible. I've done a little bit of a reaction to it on the site or on the YouTube channel already. It just looks fantastic. You can see they've put so much work into it. Visually it looks amazing. The world they've created definitely looks like something that they've really thought hard about. With Bethesda games, like even with Skyrim, there was so many times. I mean, I think for years people have told them, why can I pick this up? I can't do anything with it. You pick up like a mug or a tin or something, and there was no purpose to picking it up and putting it in your stuff other than, I guess, to sell it. So I think they've kind of kept taking all that in, and now's the time that they're actually able to do something about it. I guess with the size of world they can create with new gen, they allow you in the footage that we saw in the demo they did. One of the demos was on, you know, scrapping material, metals, and physically creating objects like houses and putting beds in place, and you were creating like little towns, little villages, sort of areas. So there's an element to Fallout 4 that certainly wasn't in Fallout 3. They showed you the ability to craft weapons and different types of weapons and mix things up to a point where you're almost getting them quite unique to your playing style. So it was really cool. There was so much stuff in there. The story looks cool. You know, you've got a dog companion that you can point to places and get the dog to go and investigate and all this sort of stuff as well. Really, really cool. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that Fallout 4 is going to be the game that knocks everything out of the water come Christmas. Even though I know Microsoft have got Gears. No, they haven't. They've got Halo 4 and Tomb Raider, and Forza coming this Christmas, although Forza's not something I'm excited about. I'm not a big racing guy. But Tomb Raider and Halo 5 are massive games, but I still think Fallout is going to be the one that outsells everything because it's cross-platform, and because of the sheer volume of PS4s out there and Xbox Ones, it's just going to outsell them. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it outsells both together, to be honest. It just looks that good. That's taking nothing away from the other two because they look good as well, but we'll get to that. They also mentioned Doom, which I've never really played Doom. I know that sounds a bit bizarre, but I haven't as a big gamer. I think I might have played it way back in the day. Don't remember much about it. I know there's been a lot of hype about the remake of Doom. Everybody went a bit crazy for the footage they showed off. Not quite sure when it's out, but definitely one to watch. The one that got me slightly excited was two things. Dishonored was the Dishonored Remastered was announced, so that's going to be coming to PS4 and Xbox One, and I think PC as well. So we'll get to play Dishonored again. Now, the weird thing for me is I never fell in love with Dishonored. I kind of liked it. I tried playing it 3 times and I still haven't finished it. I think the last time I tried it, I got to the very last level and I didn't do it. I stopped. I was kind of on a boat heading into this facility and I never ever finished it. So I'm hoping maybe I'll wait. I'm not going to buy it straight away. I'll wait for it to be at a reasonable price. Get it for the PS4 or the Xbox One, probably the PS4, and I'll give it another go. And maybe this time I'll fall in love with it, because I did enjoy it. I just didn't. Sometimes I like a game, I just don't fall in love with it, and that one I kind of liked it, and I just never found a reason to go back and finish it. So maybe this will make me do it, because I'll be really keen to check out Dishonored 2. Obviously, I still don't know what happens at the end of Dishonored anyway, so it'll be quite cool to play it and then not have any spoilers in the second one, of course, and be able to know what the story, how it carries on, if you like. Because I do know from what they announced that the girl is still in it, and the main character, is still in it. I'm forgetting who he is, but he's still in it. So I'm quite excited about that, and I think Bethesda had an absolutely fantastic E3. Everybody was so pumped in the crowd. It was great to watch. Absolutely brilliant. From a PlayStation perspective, there was nothing that kind of blew me socks off. I know a lot of people are really excited about Final Fantasy VII getting remade, but that's not really a Sony thing. It is a Square Enix thing, but they do seem to be focusing in on being PS4 partners. But I'm pretty sure Final Fantasy VII will be cross-platform. That is going to be ages away. They had a clip, but it was just a CGI clip. That's going to be ages and ages away. I reckon a couple of years for that at least. But it's a commitment to doing it, which a lot of fans are really happy about. I'm going to love it when it comes out. It's a big responsibility to take something like that and redo it completely. So they have listened to the fans, they're going to do it. I hope they do it really well, and I hope everybody loves it when it comes out. But I still think we're looking at a couple of E3s before we see any sign of a release date for that. Uncharted 4, obviously that's been pushed back to spring. We all knew that anyway. So in some respects, it's probably quite good that it's not going toe-to-toe with Tomb Raider. Probably good that it's not happening at the same time as Fallout and Tomb Raider and Halo. And the Christmas lineup is getting so ram-packed now that it's probably good, actually, that it's been moved back. They don't need to do it in holiday season anyway. People will go out and buy Uncharted 4 anyway. The other big news was, though, that they did show off more footage of Uncharted 4, and it looked absolutely fantastic. The destruction in the town they were in, and I think it was like a South American town and stuff. It looked absolutely amazing, absolutely fantastic. It was Nathan Drake and Sully back together again, as opposed to the other clip we'd seen where it was Nathan Drake and the new brother played by Troy Baker. So it looks fantastic. It's got all the hallmarks of the best one yet, and I love all the Uncharted games. Speaking of which, they announced the Uncharted, I think it was called the Nathan Drake Collection, before E3 started, so I'm really looking forward to that, and that's coming out in August. I cannot wait to play all three of those games again. I really can't wait to see what they've done with the first one, actually, because if they've spent some time with that and tidied it up a bit, I'm really looking forward to having all three of those games in nice pristine 1080p 60 frames per second. But absolute dream. Can't wait for that. Although I did check out some prices, and they seem pretty high for some older games, because I think it was at £60, but £50, I can't remember, but it was up there. They're probably just holding prices, but we'll see. So as long as it's around the £40 mark. I mean, to be fair, I love them so much, I probably would pay 55 quid for them, but I'd rather not. So hopefully they'll bring the price down. Today, I don't know if this was I didn't actually see the Sony press conference live. I'm not sure if this was announced at it or after it, but Beyond and Heavy Rain, so Beyond Two Souls and Heavy Rain, are both getting remastered as well. Now, these two games look pretty fantastic anyway on the PS3, but I absolutely adore both of those games, so without any doubt, I'm very excited about that. I'm reluctant to get excited about remasters, but the two I've just mentioned there, plus the Uncharted ones, I can't wait. Absolutely, they look... I mean, those games were stunning anyway, so I'm just looking forward to it. Really, really looking forward to it. Again, probably not going to buy them straight off the bat, because I'll wait until they're 20 quid if they're not at launch. Because I've still got my entire PS3 collection anyway, so it's not, I can play them. It's not like I'm that desperate to get stuck back in. But just knowing they're coming and knowing I can add them to my collection, really excited about that. Microsoft had a great E3 as far as I'm concerned. I knew before this E3 that they were going to have a stronger one than Sony, in my opinion, and I know a lot of people disagree, but I think the lineup that Xbox have got from now to the end of the year, and kind of a little bit through as well into the new year, they've just got a slightly stronger lineup. It's fine, you know. It swings and roundabouts. It's sometimes it's Sony and sometimes it's Microsoft. It's just the way it is, you know. Sony have had some great releases at the beginning of the year, and I think Sony will have a really strong E3 next year. But for me personally, I just felt Microsoft had a bit more to offer. Nothing so much that we didn't know about. They kind of started off with a title called ReCore. I missed the beginning of it, actually, just slightly. But what I did catch of ReCore, it looked like, I think it was like a girl or a boy with this sort of robot-type character. And it did have hints of Enslaved and that sort of possible gameplay scenario where you're sort of controlling both of these characters in some sort of combo way where you're telling one to do something and then jumping back to the other and so on. So it could have that kind of feel to it. But it looked like it had a really good style. So I'll be interested to see more of that. Halo 5 was a massive show-off. Looked absolutely amazing. Looks like they have tried to sort of mix up the gameplay a bit, and the clip that we saw, we weren't actually playing as Master Chief, we were playing as the other character, and they were all hunting for Master Chief, and you were one of many people in a team, so you could see in front of you 4 other people with their names above their heads, but it did seem like they weren't other players. It seemed like that they were AI in the game, and you were commanding them as to what to do in certain scenarios, like go and fire a rocket at that ship and go and heal that guy and so on. So whether that was an AI demo, but you can play it with your friends, I'm not sure. It's possible that that's been talked about, and I just haven't heard the newer news on that. But it certainly, from an AI perspective, it looked like it worked really well. It was nice to see something else to do while you were running through those big epic scenes rather than just running and gunning. So I'm quite interested to see what they're going to do. They did say that the areas when you get into vehicles and you're running around are like 3-4 times bigger than we've seen in the other Halo games. So really excited to see what else comes of that. Really excited to see what the story's like. I'm not a big multiplayer fan, so I probably won't play the Halo multiplayer. I know that's what a lot of people buy it for, but I've always been more of a Halo story guy. I like playing through the campaigns. I love Master Chief. I love just the experience of playing through them. They're just like being in a massive movie for me. I adore them for that reason. So really looking forward to that. The big bombshell that they dropped was that I just about choked on my burger when Phil Spencer said it. They've found a way of making the Xbox One fully backward compliant. I'm just going to repeat that. Fully backward compatible so that you can play your Xbox 360 games on your Xbox One. Now that is huge. That's a massive, massive deal, because the only way that PlayStation offer you that is for you to go on to the PlayStation, I forgot what it's called now, PlayStation Rip You Off, I think it should be called, but you go on there and you rent the damn thing for $4.99. You're paying $4.99 to play a game for a few days. It's like, what are you on about? So with the Xbox One, you can visit, like they're saying, that either you can go back onto the store and download the same game that you paid for on your 360 store, and it will be free because you've already paid for it when you had your 360, so you'll get the game for nothing. And if I've got my discs, which I have, I've got my entire collection, I can put my disc in and it will work that way instead. So absolutely brilliant. Now at the minute there's very few titles that work, and it's only on the preview system that they have going. So if you're a preview member, you can try it out. Now I thought I was a member of the preview system, but it turns out for whatever reason I don't seem to be on it now. I was way at the launch point of Xbox One, but for some reason it doesn't seem to have happened for me. But I know other people have tested it out and it's working. It's a very small library at the minute. I think Mass Effect's the biggest title on it, the original one, but they said by the time they put it live as an update, there'll probably be about 100 titles on it, and then they'll keep adding to the library. That's a fantastic offering that. For people that haven't gone to new gen, that is absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's going to be a deal buster for people that were thinking about leaving the Xbox family and moving to PlayStation, which a lot have already. I mean, that's a big deal, that. So I'm really excited for that, because I've got so many Xbox 360 games that I've kept and I still want to play. I've still got my 360, but it'll be nice to do it all on the one platform. So yeah, that was all. Really, that was absolutely awesome. I did not expect that to be said at all. The Gears of War 4 was just a joy to see that. Finally, we got to see some gameplay footage of it, and it looked like it's possibly the beginning segment. It was two new protagonists. We had a man and a woman, sort of coming out of the mist. I did do a small video on it, just a reaction video on the channel, so you can go and look at that. And I'll try and fit it into a montage that I put behind this maybe. But it looked fantastic. It looked totally next gen. It had, all the vegetation was blowing in the wind. There was lightning going off. There was swirls. The weather was just swirling around them in places. The humour in it was there again from Gears 3 that we remember, and the voice acting sounded great. It just looked absolutely gorgeous. And the music behind when I heard the little music going on as they were walking through the street, the sort of courtyard area toward this house, it gave me shivers. Like, just the memories of that music and playing, through the games, the other three, just absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait for that. And I believe, from what they said, if I remember rightly, we are getting that next Christmas. So, next holiday. So, not this Christmas coming, but it'll be 2016 Christmas. So that's, again, I can't wait for that. I was one of the people that thought they should leave Gears of War alone, but it does look like from that clip that they've actually put to bed the Marcus story. Now, I could be wrong because they didn't clarify anything, but they may well have put the Marcus Phoenix story to bed, because these two characters were completely new. Did look like a new male protagonist with a new female. I really hope they keep the female as the long-serving partnership, because I always wished that in Gears 3 that Anya had been the primary partner for Marcus when the horrible thing happened in it. And that didn't happen. They just randomly brought in this guy who nobody really knew or cared about and just made him the partner. It was like, why didn't you just make Anya the partner? Because you do get to play her at a certain point, but it was like, just make her the partner. She was the natural option. It was just bizarre. I had no idea. I mean, I still love the game, don't get me wrong. So I'm really, really hoping that is the case in Gears 4. I hope that it's a male-female partnership, because I think that would be great. I think it would be a different dynamic to the others. And she sounded like she had a lot of humour as well as the guy. So I think they bounce off each other really well. Really, really excited for that. And They actually, before I go on to Tomb Raider, which actually kind of covers into Square Enix as well, they showed off an Elite controller for the Xbox One. Looked absolutely gorgeous. Not overly. I need to go and have a look and see what it's all about, really, but it looked absolutely glorious. It had a funny D-pad on it, which was slightly more sensitive, and they showed different sort of ends to the sticks at one point in the video, although when you see pictures of it, the sticks kind of look the same, but they looked like they had different heads for the sticks. Underneath where you grip the controller, there's sort of metal, I assume they're sort of touch type things. Go and check that out anyway. If you look for the Microsoft Elite controller, you'll get loads of hits on it now if you just Google it. It looks really, really sweet, but it's £149. It's like £149.99. Well, what? It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, I'm not sure what it does. I'm missing something, because I don't know how it gets to that price, because the standard controller is, £40, or not even that now. I think they've come down. But anyway, it does look absolutely gorgeous, so I might have to invest in one once the price comes down to a reasonable amount. But for now, I've got my one Xbox controller, and it's fine. Tomb Raider looked glorious. I mean, people know I was really annoyed when this became an exclusive, then realised it was only a timed exclusive, so I kind of cooled down a bit. It does look absolutely extraordinary. It looks incredible. We saw, again, I've done a little video on it already, but I'll put a bit in this montage. We see Lara scaling a mountain. We see her with her sort of travelling buddy, which seems to be the big sort of Hawaiian guy that was in the original game. the remake, the first Tomb Raider from last gen. They're scaling this mountain, things don't go right, there's a massive snowfall. It just looks absolutely extraordinary, and you've got this view across the sort of, well, I don't think it was the Himalayas, but across this massive mountain range with a sort of old relic city in the middle, and it looked absolutely glorious. The voice acting looked great, the big cinematics looked great. There was no surprise, right? It looked like the last one, but they've done even more with it visually because they've got the power now. They've left old gen behind, so this is just coming for new gen. Absolutely extraordinary. Really looking forward to that. It looked glorious. Fable Legends, I love Fable, and Fable, well, I'm weird because Fable 3 is kind of my favourite, but I love Fable 2 and 3. Fable Legends is it's a massively online multiplayer, so I'm not sure how Fables is going to work. I think you all just run around the land doing quests and having a bit of a ball and killing things, and it looks like it's got the humour that we like from Fable and the quirky characters from Fable. I'm not overly sure if it's going to be my thing. I'm not a big multiplayer guy, really, as I keep saying, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. It might tweak my interest at some point. I think it's free to play as well. I don't think that means you get the software. I'm not overly sure that means you get the software free in this case. It just means you don't pay a fee to play it online, maybe. But we need to check that out, see where that one's going. Square Enix had... I've jumped forward. Ubisoft. They went through The Division, which I was kind of losing a bit of interest in, but they showed off a clip of The Division, and it was really cool. It was like you saw what you thought was a standard operation going on. You then bump into another squad, and everyone's on a standoff position, so they're like, what are they going to do? So it was like a live team bumping into another live team, and they were like, what are they going to do? Are they going to help us kill these guys? Are they going to start shooting at us for our stuff, or what's going to happen? And then they all start playing together to get through the bad that's in front of the both of them. Then they all go to the helicopter pickup point to get taken out, and then you hear them talking about it, saying we should take these guys down and take their stuff. So they start attacking the other team, and then that team dies, and the team that are left standing, one of their guys screws the other two over, and he walks away with everything. So it was all really like it was quite interesting. That I don't know whether that was just part of a segment of multiplayer, or whether that's the way the entire MMO game works, but it certainly raised my interest a bit about the game again. So really looking forward to that. Looked stunning again. Ubisoft stuff always looks good. So we'll see. I'm hoping that game doesn't let us down. It does look like it could be something. Rainbow Six was shown off again. I've never played Rainbow Six really, but it looks great fun. Looks fantastic, and I think they said they were going to give away the free. They were going to give away free with that one a couple of the older Rainbow Six games, I think. So maybe I'll get to play them then. So it'll be a good way for me to get into it when it comes out. But again, it's not going to be top of my buying list or anything. What else we got? Kingdom Hearts 3, which a lot of people were excited about, is coming out in, I think they said spring. Now this is I've got to fess up here. I haven't played Kingdom Hearts. I've seen it being played, but I've never actually played it. I've never actually found the desire to go off and find out all about it, which is a bit strange because I'm a pretty big Final Fantasy fan. So you would think that I would fall naturally into it, but I've just never kind of fell into it. I don't know why, it just never happened. So maybe this will be my opportunity to see it. Square Enix showed off a big lump of sort of montage of gameplay. It does look fantastic and glorious. More of a cartoony type style, obviously, is the way that game works, but it does look amazing. After that, we saw a bit of Hitman. There looks like they've rebooted Hitman altogether. Agent 47 is not back; he's beginning. They've made it far more open. There seems to be a massive amount of multiplayer involved in it, where you can set up assassinations. You can do all sorts of stuff as a multiplayer player that you couldn't do in the older ones. I think the ability to just run around sort of shooting the hell out of areas is kind of gone. I think although you can do that, I think you'll find it very difficult to finish missions and stuff. I think it is possible you can. They did show him doing different assassinations in different ways, so he just kind of walked in and like axed somebody in front of everyone, and then I think you probably have to shoot your way out at that point. And they do sort of give you a marking system, so if you do it the more silently you do the assassination, and the more people don't think it's you, you get a higher score rank, and so on. I think you can boast online. So there was a lot of elements that were similar to the previous Hitman, which I say previous, this is a reboot, but the last Hitman game had a lot of those elements in it. I actually quite enjoyed the last Hitman game because I'm not the world's best silent killer, so it kind of suited me that I could shoot my way out of a problem. But it did have a lot of those elements in it, so it looked amazing. Looks like they've really thought about it again. I'm really impressed with Square Enix, actually. Their actual presentation of all the stuff was quite cringy at times, but that's okay. You know, it's just, well, it gets down to the games in the end. But Hitman did look great, so I'll probably invest in quite early on when it comes, I think. Just Cause 3 looked great fun. I got Just Cause 2 well after the event, and I just couldn't get into it. It just wasn't my cup of tea at all. It might sound a bit strange, but I know it's really heavily played still, Just Cause 2, but I just couldn't get into it at all. Maybe I'll at some point way down the line I might buy Just Cause 3 and give it a try, but I have no inclination to run out and buy it. It does look good though. If you're into that sort of thing, it just doesn't grab me for some reason, but it does look really, really good fun. I think it will get a lot of sales, that game. We saw it showed off. It's he's going back to where he comes from, this island which has been taken over by this dictator type chap, and you have to go and basically boot him out and you know, take out all his camps and all this sort of stuff. So that's the premise of it, and take back the island to be your home again, and all of that. Final Fantasy VII was shown off again, same clip as they showed off in the Sony press conference. Everyone was kind of underwhelmed, I think, because they'd already seen it at the Sony press conference. Final Fantasy 15 wasn't shown off at all because they said they weren't going to show it anyway, and I suspect that's because they wanted to sort of push the Final Fantasy elements of it. The Final Fantasy 7 elements of it, sorry. Deus Ex, which everybody was waiting for. You could tell there was a big anticipation for Deus Ex getting shown. Deus Ex Mankind Divided looks brilliant. It looks like a much better looking version of the previous one, Human Revolution. I loved Human Revolution. It took me a bit to get into it, but when I finally played it, I loved it. Human Revolution is one of my faves from last gen. I started playing it again recently just to get a taste for it again, and I just adore it. Absolutely gorgeous. And they seem to have taken all the elements of that and just sort of grown them into more. So, you know, his fitments in his arms and everything turn into guns and all sorts of really cool stuff. And I think she said he's got like throwing blades or something also hidden in his arms, but they said they've put a lot more choices in this one, so actually the choices you make in the game can have an impact on how the game ends, how the story ends, how you are as a character. He himself is now working for a different company, he's an investigator for some level of the Force, but he's also a double agent for something else because they're trying to bring down the Illuminati. So going to be very interesting to see how the story pans out. Does look really interesting, looks beautiful. They said they're trying to make it the best action RPG out there, so let's hope they do that, because I can't wait to play that game. It looks absolutely fantastic. They finished off weirdly with some new JRPG studio that they've created in Japan, working on a brand new IP, which I don't know whether they're trying to maybe create something brand new JRPG wise that's so strong it could in some level replace the Final Fantasy franchise. I can't see why they would want another massive JRPG franchise along with Final Fantasy. I sometimes wonder if Final Fantasy is holding them back and they'd rather have all of that effort going into an IP that's kind of new, but you know, that might upset a lot of fans obviously, but I don't know. Final Fantasy's not been what it used to be for quite some time, so we'll see what 15's like, I guess. And the remake of 7, it's But yeah, it'd be interesting. I didn't. I don't. They gave the studio name actually, but I've I failed to write it down before doing my presentation to the group. So you can Google that new JRPG studio for Square Enix, and you'll find out a bit more about that. That is all of the stuff that I have jotted down as I've gone on my iPhone in my little notes system. All the things that excited me about E3. I hope this has helped you. If you haven't seen all of it, I hope this has helped you sort of know a bit more about what went on and what you can expect in the coming months or the coming years, depending on how some of these games get developed. It's been a bit of a pleasure chatting into this microphone for you for the last 30 minutes. I'm sorry I haven't been able to put all of the footage I'd like to into this montage. I'm trying to be careful because I don't know what the do's and don'ts of putting some of this footage up are. But I'll try and put some in so you can see some of what went on footage-wise. And I hope this has been of some kind of help to you. It's been a pleasure spending some time with you all. I hope you enjoy the vid, and I will speak to you all soon. Take it easy. Bye.